Go. First of all, it's nice to talk to you, Derek.
Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to meet you too. First of all, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. My name is Derek Sante. I am a critic and entertainment reporter in United States. I'm currently in Las Vegas, though I live in Las Vegas and Los Angeles. I go to many interview junkets, festivals, events, all kinds of things. That's where I met Marcel. So besides that, I've been in radio, TV, websites, and you can find me with Review Nation or reviewNation.net is my own personal website, or at Review Nation is my my tagline. Besides that, I review movies, TV, video games, and I go to events too. So anything fun and interesting, I try to be at.
Good to hear. First of all, I'm wondering how do you work right now? I mean, I'm at home office, so we can't go to any events. So how does you do your work?
Mostly right now, most of my work is me doing stuff from home. I'm doing a lot of Zoom interviews, so I'll interview casts of TV shows and movies with Zoom, just like this. And then I kind of create different videos like this too. I also record some of my segments on my camera, and then I cut them up and I send them up to my TV stations. So my TV stations play stuff that I've created and edited myself. And so that's most of my work now, is just trying to do everything from home. And I've changed my home into 3 different studio spaces. So it's just trying to make sure that I can do everything I can because I have all this free time anyway. So why don't I?
So we hear from Germany, we hear many news about America. So I want to ask you, how bad is the situation at the US, really?
It's not as bad as everyone thinks. I mean, it is still a disease. It is still spreading, unfortunately. But a lot of us in certain states especially have done well with social distancing. So we've stayed inside. We only go outside to if we have to work, if some of them are essential workers, or if I go to the grocery store, I can still go to the park and walk my dog and things like that too. So as long as we stay away from busy centers and areas like that, we're essentially okay. I'm actually going to be going down to the Las Vegas Strip in a couple of days because it's closed, it's dead. So a usual street, boulevard you would see many people is now empty, and so I'm gonna go take video and pictures of that, while it is right now, because everything's closed when it comes to casinos. Some of those things might change the next 2 or 3 weeks, but right now that's kind of the world we live in. As for other parts of the country, it's up and down. Big masses of people in cities like New York, Boston, Los Angeles, they are kind of spreading it more than they think they are. And so it's still very much an issue there. And it's still an issue throughout the whole country. But we're all just pushing through, like we're doing as best we can,
Yeah, I know. I'm a bit jealous because you were on the last film festival. What happened? Sundance.
Yeah, Sundance was great. I got a lot of great stuff, but no one knew this was going to come. I mean, everyone was preparing. I was this close to going to South by Southwest. After that, I was going to go to WonderCon and then CinemaCon and then 5 other events. So this has probably killed 10 different events I was going to go to so far, and it's probably going to destroy some more too. Probably Toronto Film Festival isn't going to happen. And a couple other things too. So there's a lot of issues to come still, and we're really going to have to figure out how this is all going to shape when we come back out of it.
You said Toronto. That's a good point. Do you think Toronto will happen, or maybe there's an alternative to host the festival?
I don't know. The problem is that we don't know where we're going to be with this virus in that many months, and with people still spreading it, and the fact that they're still it's still very contagious. We don't know too much about it yet either. There's still so many questions. I really feel like it's probably going to be canceled. As much as I don't want it to be, it might be a virtual festival. Like South by Southwest is about to do a virtual festival on Amazon Prime, so
Yeah.
they might do something along those lines, but I just don't know. As much as I would love to see, um, as I would love to be there and be part of it, it's going to be up to Canada, Toronto. When you have a huge international festival like that, the international part is the big question mark. How can you have an international when you're afraid of other countries that might not have eradicated this contagion like, let's say, your own country has? Even if Canada is essentially clean, doesn't have the contagion anymore, are they going to invite people from China, Greece, Brazil, Germany, all these other countries, when they don't know necessarily what those critics or film festival fans might be bringing with them?
So the festivals is a good point because many festivals were cancelled, like South by Southwest, like WonderCon. Were you really shocked when you heard the news that Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, is cancelled this year?
No, and the reason is because the same exact thing. In the title, it's Comic-Con International. So international, there's a lot of people who come from different countries. And I mean, China, Japan, Germany, everywhere. So it's an international festival. And the city is going to lose $200 million plus because of it. I'm sure they didn't want to do it. I've already talked to the head of publicity for Comic-Con a couple times. They are looking for an alternative, a way to do some stuff online, maybe some online panels and things like that too. So look and see how that shapes up. But first heard of it, I just knew it was coming. We were already ramping towards it. It's just still too close, and there's still no real answers for anything we're doing. So it's just better for them to say no, it's not going to happen, and for them to just kind of move on their way.
Yeah, big question. You know, the only film in Germany that not rescheduled is Tenet. Do you think Tenet will start in July? The Christopher Nolan one?
I don't think it will. I mean, I think what they're doing is they're just waiting to see what's going to happen. Some of these cities here in America are already saying they're going to open up, and some of the theaters will open up in a week or two. But the reality of it is just so far away. So all these dates and issues that people are still pushing. I mean, Tenet and then Wonder Woman 1984 is still in August. I mean, there's a lot of those things that essentially it's just a gamble. They're just betting on it. There's no real answer. No one has answers. And so everyone is just kind of gambling on those dates. Some people already, moved way farther away, but it's up to the studios to kind of shuffle their movies and then work with what windows and dates are still available.
And do you think it's maybe better to move then to 2029 than to hope that the movies will come out this year?
Well, the problem is that, like I said, we just don't know. If the theaters are still open, the problem is how many people are still going to go to it. So do you want do they need the money now, or do they want this lackluster box office? As we saw with Trolls World Tour, they released directly to videos on demand. No real idea, no real answer as the numbers they made. The first Trolls movie made 150 million. For video on demand to work to equal 150 million, I think they need 3.8 million people to buy video on demand at $20 rental for it to equal out. So if they did that, then they say it's an option. It's a possibility, especially now when we're all stuck inside. And it's also a kids movie, so parents have an easier time buying it for the kids. But will that work for other movies, art movies? Will that work for smaller action movies and things that we just enjoyed going to the theater as an escape? I don't know. That's going to be up to the movie theaters as we move forward. I do feel though that it's probably not going to be until, I want to say, September, October before we see real theater attendance come back.
And let's talk a little bit about Disney Plus. Do you have Disney Plus, and
Yes.
what are your thoughts about all of the changes with Splash, with other movies and series?
I think there was going to have to be an option for it. I feel like Disney jumped into this a little too fast because they needed to. Uh, their big problem is Netflix. Netflix more content than they do. So essentially, Disney Plus only has about 20% of what Netflix has in the form of content. And because of that, Disney is trying to catch up to make it seem worthwhile. And that's added Hulu, and that's why they added the sports channel ESPN. The problem is, of course, Disney owns so much stuff, and they want to roll it out, but they still want Disney Plus to be safe for kids to scroll through and search through, and that's going to be an issue because you have Touchstone Pictures, which Disney owns as well, and then 20th Century Fox, which they bought. You know, you can't have Deadpool, you can't have Aliens, you can't have that stuff around for kids to see. So what are you going to do? So they're trying to find a way to ingrain some of those in there without being too aggressive. In actuality, if they were smart about it, they should have just put it all to Hulu instead, and it would have made more sense. But Disney Plus is something that they want to foster and grow, and so I think this is just a dipping the toe in to see how people react to movies like this coming out. And none of these movies have been extremely graphic or adult oriented. So I think it's still okay, but it's going to be the next step, which is something we're going to have to pay attention to.
Do you think that Disney Plus will come more important as Netflix, or maybe an equal to Netflix?
Not for years. Like I said, the main issue is going to be content. Disney makes a lot of stuff, and this is actually going to be a huge jump for Netflix right now. Netflix is jumping way farther than Disney right now because they own a lot of content and they buy so much content. They spend billions of dollars buying content, movies, different things like that, while Disney right now is on hold. Everything they make is mainly going to the theaters and then coming to Disney Plus. A lot of the that they have, the world according to Jeff Goldblum, Mandalorian, stuff like that, most of that stuff's on hold. And so if that stuff can't come out, how can they have new things coming out? And that's why they're pushing Splash and other movies like that, because they're trying to put new content on Disney Plus. The problem, as I said, is the fact that Netflix is a beast and it has so much content and it bought so many other things already that it is still pretty set up to go. So I don't think it's gonna beat for quite a while. Netflix, especially after the quarantine period, is going to be farther ahead by far.
Yeah, I think the same, because it's too much for kids and there are not so many adult series.
Right.
And I think you need possibilities on streaming sites to make people happy. And also when the parents, when the kids go into the bed, go to bed, I think parents will watch Netflix and not Disney Plus.
Right. And that's just the way it's going to be right now. Especially for the value, what are you purchasing and what are you getting in return for the value right now? As most of the world has figured out, Netflix is probably the best value out there. It just is.
Like you said, you attended many press conferences, etc. Do you think after Corona that will change, that they not doing press junkets face to face
Not
because
for a while. I mean, a lot of the press junkets now are all Zoom. Netflix has done 3 big ones already. Trolls World Tour did one, and a couple other videos on demand have done some too. But we don't really know yet because the only ones who are doing anything have been Netflix, Apple Plus, Apple TV Plus, and the like. So there hasn't been a lot, and in TV as a whole, so there hasn't been a lot of the regular junkets that we would notice. But those are going to be much later in the year, probably not till November, even December, or even not till next year, depending on what they're going to do. Because how are you going to take the chance that the reporter that comes isn't sick or doesn't have, a way to spread whatever they have? So you don't want to get your celebrities or your talent sick. So it's a better opportunity just to make it like this, even though it's a lower quality, than taking the chance that you're going to infect the star.
Yeah. And also the Disney hosted a lot of blockbusters right now are scheduled in November. I mean, November is very full pack. Do you think this will happen, or do you think they will reschedule the films?
It's going to depend where we are in the world. As much as we, like I said, everything is still in the question, and that's just still a gamble. They're just betting that by November things will be somewhat back to normal, so that they can make their money they need to make off the box office at the theaters. But even if that we get back to normal, people aren't going to congregate in large groups as much as before. So this whole year, there's not going to be any festivals, So an auditorium of 400, is that considered too packed or not? So that's going to be the question everyone is going to ask before they go to a theater. A lot of these theaters are already figuring out they want to do half capacity theaters as well. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And second question, do you think Netflix will have enough content to fill the gap, to fill this huge gap?
I think they do have enough content. I think they're trying to figure out how to slow things down a little bit as well when they were releasing things. They still have big titles, and they have other things they were already working towards. There's stuff that we were really excited about, like the second season of The Witcher and things like that aren't going to happen now because the production was put on hold. And so when there's a lot of shows like that put on hold, what is Netflix to do? They're still releasing things on a regular schedule that they already have, though. Some new TV shows are coming out. A new movie, Extraction, with Chris Hemsworth, who played Thor. That comes out this Friday here in America. I'm not sure if it comes out there at the same time, but that one comes out Friday. So there are still some good titles they have, and I feel they might be good through, let's say, July, maybe August. But after that, it's going to start to dwindle unless they start to make connections and deals with other companies to get some of their content. The problem is that Universal has its own with Peacock. Universal, the only thing they can really do is maybe buy in with Warner Brothers and have Warner Brothers give them a bunch of content over to Netflix, and that's the way they could get through the rest of the year without any issues. But they don't have. I don't think they have the backlog that they would need that Disney necessarily has because they own Fox and everything else too. The problem is though that Disney still doesn't know how to roll that out. So those are the big issues and questions that are coming about right now.
Yeah. You said a good point, production on hold. Do you think that will change in the next months?
It probably won't change until June or July. I mean, it's easy if it's someone who's doing like an animated where they can all do their work at home, or if a production is moved onto editing, that's something we can all do at home, or one person or two people can go into an office. But when you have a real production shoot and you have 50 people in a small area shooting and moving around everywhere and touching the same things and eating from the same craft service table, like that's not going to make anything easy. So I feel like a lot of these productions are going to be held till July, maybe even longer than that, probably even to October, who knows. So it's really going to be it's either going to be that, or they're going to test everybody. If tests become available, they're going to test everyone as part of the production, and then they're going to sequester or keep all of them separate from everybody else and say, look, for the next month, you can't touch anyone else. You could talk to everyone else through video and phones, but you can't go out. You can't do this. You can this. This is the whole world we are living in right now, and that's all we're doing. We are not going to contaminate anybody, and we're not going to do anything. And that's the only smart way they could possibly do it. But that's an insurance thing too, so who knows?
What do you think how do you think will Corona affect the Oscars or the Golden Globes? I mean, most of the films who won there were shown at Toronto, at Cannes, at Venice, and I don't think this festival will happen this year.
I don't think a lot of those are going to happen this year. We're going to have to figure out what's going to happen. I mean, a lot of them come up during Toronto. So if Toronto by some chance happens, but the last quarter of this year, from October, November, and December, would have to have a lot of releases, and they would have to be something that shows in the theater. And so I don't know. I think Oscar is probably going to be on hold more than we think. I would say probably 70 to 80% of it, say 70 to 80% saying that it will probably be canceled this next year. I don't think it will happen. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. Golden Globes might happen since it does a lot of TV still, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah. And question to you, what have you watched lately?
Lately I've been I just watched Extraction with Chris Hemsworth, which is on Netflix, which is great. I really do enjoy it. I've also watched The Half of It, also from Netflix. I'm watching Westworld on HBO, which is great. I'm trying to catch up on different TV shows. CBS All Access has Picard and Star Trek Discovery, which I enjoy. I've been watching some anime as well, trying to review that because I'm looking for content as well. So a lot of people love that. So I'll try to review that stuff too. And then it's really going to be about other things that are releasing and what my ability is to review them. Because as much as I want to talk about a lot of movies, a lot of these we're seeing right now are things that I've already seen at festivals. I've already reviewed at festivals. So it's a little harder to kind of grab those titles. HBO has one called Bad Education coming up with Hugh Jackman, which is coming up this Friday, I believe. And I saw that at Toronto. It's a really good movie, but I've already seen it. So I just don't know. I just have to make whatever's coming out new for the people who listen to me or who watch my TV segments. So those are my main things right now is watching those shows and trying to catch up on things that I haven't ever really watched or even thought about watching.
Do you think right now it's harder to create content that's relevant? Film, series, reviews,
No,
etc.
I think if we have it ready, it's fine. The issue is going to be that people want an escape from this reality right now. Don't get me wrong. In a year's time or even 6 months' time, we're going to get a ton of TV shows, movies, different things like that are all reacting to quarantine, the quarantine life. But as of right now, people are looking for the escape from every day being stuck in our four walls and quarantine. So that's what people are looking for more than anything.
And you're also in the election year this year, so
yeah, but we're gonna have to figure out if that's gonna happen. That's already gonna be a big issue. There's gonna be a lot of problems come up from that, and we just don't know what's gonna happen with that either. There's gonna be some definite changes, and watch to see how it works out. Our main issue is gonna be how we are going to adjust to these times. and if we're going to use technology, mail-ins, or what, to essentially decide how we move forward with our democracy. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I hope we get a chance to actually have a real option to vote for ourselves. But we'll have to see what this quarantine and this world allows us to do by November.
What do you think is right now your favorite movie of the year, or your favorite series?
The problem is there's not that much left out there, is there? I mean, I could talk about like The Mandalorian and stuff like that, which is one of my favorites. I love that. I did enjoy this Extraction that came out recently with Chris Hemsworth. It comes out Friday. But 1917 was great. It came out last year, but actually released this year in this city. So there's some things, it just depends on what we're going to look at. The unfortunate problem is so many big movies were supposed to come out March, April, May, and they just all went away. So what's our choices now, you know? And so that's it right now. I don't know what else is going to happen. We'll have to see what else comes out. But as of right now, some of those titles are great, but it's just the best we have as well. So.
And last question, what are your predictions of Dune, Capone, and Hollywood, the new Netflix series? What?
Hollywood I've already seen. It's really good. I like it a lot. It has an alternate kind of reality feel to it, which is a lot of fun. And it really kind of serves Hollywood. It's kind of a love letter to Hollywood. So I really did enjoy that one. As for Dune and Capone, I don't know what's going to happen with those. Those are all pushed back. They're not going to come out anytime soon, really. I mean, the problem is all those dates that they wanted to do something were pushed back because of other movies that were coming sooner. So that's the way a lot of this stuff is going to happen, is we're going to have things pushed back. So if those movies, you know, any movie that said they was going to release this year might not release this year at all. So we might not see a lot of the big titles this year until next year. I mean, James Bond moved back a full year. So a lot of these movies are just going to move back. So we won't know until a little bit later what's going to happen.
And have you seen the trailer of Capone?
No, I haven't. Is it out yet? It just came out?
Yeah, it's out yet. Josh Trank dropped it, and he said the movie will come out on May 12th, but I think he mean VOD, or have you?
We'll see. Look, like I said, we just don't know. As much as I would love to get some great talent from these things, I just don't know what's going to happen. And if it does come out in May, it's going to be video on demand. It has to be. There's no other option. It's not going to go into theaters. It can't. Even if they try to, there's going to be only so many theaters that are going to be open anyways. So what's the use in that? So someone had to buy it, or there's some way where they're going to make some kind of money, because they wouldn't release a movie like that without knowing where the money was going to be, or knowing how much they were probably going to make. So that's going to be the issue.
Yeah, I mean, the big stars like Tom Hardy and Kyle MacLachlan, I don't think this movie will be on VOD because you need to get the money back. I mean, the budget is not small, I think, for this movie.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think the budget is small either. But I don't know what they've decided or how it's going to work out. Like I said, there's a lot of questions up in the air when it comes to movies like now. It's going to be released or how it's going to work out. So I don't know. Like I said, like in Russia, it's not coming out till June. If it comes out here earlier, I don't know what's going to happen. So I feel that a lot of things are going to be a lot later than we expect. And so if they are going to release it earlier, it's going to be something that is like very, very planned out, or they have a deal with a company like Amazon or different things like that too. So right now it is going to be video on demand is what I'm reading right now. So video on demand, May 12th is what they're saying. So that's it. That's all we can do. You know, we can't say anything more than that because we don't have any more answers. So they're looking for video on demand, and I think it's gonna be a test to see how much money they can make. We don't know.
Thanks, Derek, for your perspective from the US. I really looking forward to meet you again.
Sure.
in real life. Maybe next Sundance we will talk about that time.
Let's hope. Let's hope. I hope next Sundance is happening. I hope Toronto Film Festival is happening, but
yeah, me too.
I just don't know. Like as much as I want to, I can't plan for any of these things anymore.
Yeah.
So what can I do? You know, it's a whole different world right now, and we'll just have to you know, roll with the changes as they come. So
thanks, and
pleasure.
Yeah, let's talk. I mean, months later about how
Sure
it evolves.
Yeah, anytime. Just reach out.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, and have a nice day in
You too.
Las Vegas. Great. Bye.
Bye. Be good.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course.